you really have the capacity to look at this stuff and know what kind of influence it has on you? Do you know that it's influencing your attitudes? Do you know that in some kind of semi-violent scenarios that then when they were shown to a group of people, that when they went to a mock trial about a rapist, they didn't believe for a second that that woman was raped, didn't convict the guy, and if they did, they gave him absolutely very minimal sentence. So when I'm looking at that kind of data, and when I'm looking at the data about violence against women, which still continues to be epidemic, I worry. I worry that pornography is actually not only promoting violence against women, which is different, by the way, from saying somebody looks at pornography and goes out and rapes somebody. Please make that distinction with me. It promotes violence against women, but it doesn't mean that if you look at pornography, you're going to go, time to go out and rape. That's not what I'm saying. And I don't want that question asked to me as if I didn't just say what I just said. So do me a favor. Let's make a deal. I do want to talk a little bit about women's experience in pornography. I got into this issue when the movie Snuff came to Toronto. Snuff is a movie that advertises the actual murder of a woman for sexual entertainment. It's called a snuff movie. We know they exist. When I saw that this kind of thing existed, I said to myself, I have a feeling that woman didn't consent. And I started to think about all of the other women in pornography, and I started asking myself a couple of questions. Who are they? How did they get there? How come they're in the pornography and I'm not? How come there isn't a course at Stetson University on Prostitution 101 so that all of you can go and become prostitutes? How come? What's their story? How did they get there? Are they being exploited? And I discovered that in fact there are a lot of women, not all of them, and I'll get to that in a second, who are in conditions of having to sell their bodies because of experiences they've had of abuse from a young age. So that actually going into pornography doesn't feel much at all like the rape they experienced as kids. It feels a lot better. First of all, they're getting paid to have this kind of so-called sex. They are feeling, that they're getting a little something out of it. It's called re-victimization. And that's a lot of the experience of women who go into the sex trade and eventually get into the pornography business, which is a higher end of the sex trade. Now, in all the time that Ron and I have been having these conversations, there's always been a number of people who have gotten up and said, I know a lot of women who really like their work in pornography. They're getting paid really good bucks, and you, Susan G. Cole, should stop telling women that they don't have the right to make that choice. And then Ron will step up and he'll say, hey, they're making more money than anybody is, and they're making hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars, and I work for a lot of women, he'll say. So now I'm going to change my tune because I am prepared now to say, go ahead, make that choice. And now you, who are in the pornography business and making all that money if you're female, you can be accountable and responsible for the exploitation that happens and what pornography does to people's attitudes towards sexuality and women in general. Go ahead, make your choice, and be responsible. When I started to do this kind of work, I didn't have to tell women why pornography is a problem. One of the reasons I wanted to come back out and do this kind of work again, and I started doing it a long time ago, was because I was really interested in the fact that there were so many women coming to this event and cheering for Ron Jeremy. And I thought, wow, I really have to take a look at that and figure that out. Because it seemed that they couldn't care less if women were being exploited, couldn't care less if people's sexuality was getting colonized. But I'm beginning, I think, to understand it, because we're living in a culture where we have a choice between the repression of the right wing, and the oppression of pornography, between the right wing saying, you better be a virgin, you better be a virgin, and the pornographer saying, we like it when you're a whore, we like it when you're a whore. And I understand why being a whore is more appealing than not having any sex at all. I get it. We all want the heat, and we'd rather have it than not. So my question to all of you, whether you're male or female, loving Ron and the work that he does, loving the pornography industry, is why are you settling for only that choice? When are you going to get creative about your own sexuality and decide, I'm going to make my choice about the kind of sexuality I want to experience? Why are you settling for a sexuality, an exploitive sexuality, a pretty single-minded sexuality that's being pimped to you by a bunch of profit seekers who are really into it only for the money? Why are you settling for that when you could actually take back your own sexuality, make it your own, and not let somebody else colonize it? That's what I'm asking you to consider. Don't let them get to you. If you think they're not getting to you, I gotta tell you people, you're kidding yourselves. Why do you think that advertisers spend billions and billions and billions of dollars to try to sell you something? Because it works. And what pornography does is it teaches you something in your body. It's not even an idea anymore. It's right there in your body that you're feeling and responding to, and it's affecting you. I mean, I won't even mention the fact, or I'll pass over the fact that, you're not really, really connecting to anything important from a sexual point of view. And one of these days, you'll probably have the experience, and I wish it for you, if you're lucky enough to have been able to exorcise all of the effects that pornography is having on you, you will have a real, connecting, beautiful, and I won't even, never mind the love. Notice I haven't said that word, well I just did. But that'll be it. Because I'm not even talking about it. Recreational, that's not the issue. The issue is authentic and real, not plastic, not a bunch of women, and women who have, prefab breasts, not a bunch of men who have, penises, the size of a canoe paddle. Something real and authentic that you can connect to. And one of these days, I really wish for you that you will have the experience of that kind of authenticity, and you'll remember that night, this night. You'll remember I sat in a room and a woman in a turquoise shirt was going on and on and on about the problems of pornography and inauthenticity and sexuality, and you're going to have that experience and you're going to realize that I'm right. And I thank you.
She says take back the industry. But the thing is, as she even said herself, the majority of companies in the adult industry right now are owned and operated by women. So a lot of women are putting their own sexuality into the films, what they feel the public might want to see, what they feel themselves. So when you see this take back, just an example, ABN did an article on the women who are becoming millionaires who own and run their own companies. Plus, keep in mind now the internet, which has done a lot to hurt the adult industry, it's helped a lot of the women, because now there is no director, producer, distributor, exhibitor.